Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you, Regan. Rihanna, where did you go there? Anyways, I want to thank you. I'm going to kind of go off the script for a little bit. When I was here earlier, I went around, and I want to thank people that have never been thanked before. And that's our wonderful servers that I met before, and I thank you, and I thank the chefs and the cooks. They're incredible people, and that's what I work for every single day, people like that. Thank you for the very warm welcome, my friends, and thank you to the Economic Club for hosting us today. It's great to be here, and I look forward to talking to you about where our government is going in 2019. But I want to start by recognizing the Economic Club and all you do to promote financial literacy in Ontario. This work has never been more important than it is in today's economic climate. Because as a province, we need to be more financially aware, to understand the implications of borrowing, the implications of debt and deficits. If you run a business, you get this. You have to. And you know, like I do, that if you can't read a balance sheet, you don't get to stay in business. But if you get it, and if you get it right, and you don't get pinned down by a bunch of debt, you get to grow. You get to invest and create new jobs. My friends, that's why I ran to be Premier, to create jobs. To create jobs, create new opportunities, not just for the privileged few, but for everyone in Ontario. I ran for Premier to create prosperity, the likes of which this province has never seen before, because that's how we can afford better hospitals, better schools, better services, and that's what open for business really means. It means being open for everyone. It means being open for jobs, and it all starts with fixing Ontario's finances. It starts with restoring accountability, restoring sustainability and trust. Trust in how your government spends your tax dollars. My friends, I've learned from my time in government, whether it was at City Hall or now as Premier, I've learned that there are always better ways for government to do business, better ways to deliver services, smarter ways to make every penny of your tax dollars go further. And every day I ask my team, where are the efficiencies? Where is the duplication? And are we getting the best value for taxpayers? And it doesn't matter if we're selling a surplus property or buying a stapler or making sure that we're putting the taxpayers first. Are we making the most of every single tax dollar? Sadly, for a long time, the answer was clearly no. The fact is, we inherited a $15 billion deficit from the Liberals. And I got to add a $15 billion structural deficit from the Liberals. Ontario's debt to GDP ratio climbed past 40%. My friends, those are staggering numbers. Because I remember from my days at City Hall, and I sat on budget, the idea of even hitting or coming close to 15% was a disaster. And I see my friend Denzel Minawong agreeing back there, so he knows what I'm talking about. And this is something that people across Ontario were worried about. I know because I heard it. I heard it at every single stop during our campaign. In every town, people would come up to me and say, Doug, I'm worried about the out-of-control spending. I'm worried about the out-of-control hydro rates. I'm worried about keeping up with my taxes because I can't afford it. And most importantly, Doug, I'm worried about my job. Well, on June the 7th, the people of Ontario spoke. You spoke, and you set a new course for Ontario. You voted for a new direction and a new set of priorities. You voted for a plan that put you first. You voted for a government that we respect your money, that would clean up the financial mess. A government that would bring good-paying jobs back to Ontario. A government that would protect workers and their families. A government that would grow the economy. And my friends, I'm so proud to stand before you today, 6 months after taking office, and say, this is exactly what we are doing. We are delivering on our promises and blazing a new trail. We are moving at lightning speed, and it's all thanks to our incredible team. We have the best political team this province has ever seen, a team of all-stars who are fighting hard every single day. And I'm happy to see so many of my colleagues here today. Could you please stand up for a moment to be recognized? What a team of all-stars, and that's a fraction. And I usually don't point one person out over the other, but I was sitting at the backstage, and I'm so proud to say I have the best deputy premier in the entire world, best minister of health in the entire world, Christine Elliott. I thank you for your friendship, and I thank you for your leadership, Christine. You're an absolute champion. Now I'm going to get in trouble by 74 other members when I go back to Queen's Park. They're all equally as good. My friends, I'm so proud to be the leader of this government. A government with conviction, a government of action. In fact, I can say with confidence that I would put our track record over the last 6 months up against any government in Canadian history. In just 6 months, we've accomplished the impossible, and at your table, in front of you, is a list with over 4 pages of our government's accomplishments. And they showed me that list the other day, my friends, and I took a look at it, and you sit back, honestly, and you say, wow. And I don't get the credit, our team gets the credit, and I always tell our team, I always mention this, we have an all-star team. We have a better all-star team outside of Queen's Park, like folks, like each and every one of you. When we go across the province, you are the ones giving us the ideas. We're there to implement the great ideas. But I assure you that we are just getting started. Today, Ontario has a government for the people, a government that respects every penny of your hard-earned tax dollars, a government that is cleaning up the financial mess. In our first 6 months, we have found $3.2 billion in savings, canceled billions of dollars in planned tax hikes. Ontario now has a business-friendly climate, an environment that is fostering new jobs and opportunity. We have created the environment for companies to thrive and prosper. I want Ontario to have the best hospitals in the world, the best schools, the safest roads, the safest neighborhoods. Not just today, but for years to come. But every dollar that goes into interest payments is a dollar that could and should go to hiring another nurse or fixing another school. Everything the government of Ontario does is put at risk when deficits spiral out of control. That's why We have to bring Ontario back to balance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to tell you that our resolve is unshakable, and Ontario is lucky to have two of the sharpest minds working on this case, Finance Minister Vic Fedeli and Treasury Board President Peter Bethlenfalvy. I'll tell you, when it comes to money, they are sharp. Well, there's Peter there, that big smile. Keep watching the dollars, Peter. They're watching, not just dollars, they're watching every nickel and every single dime. And in Minister Fedeli's 2019 budget, we will show you our clear plan to get back into the black. We're going to balance the budget in a modest and responsible manner because you don't eliminate a $15 billion deficit overnight. And you don't eliminate a $15 billion deficit without some difficult decisions. And as we go through this process, every step of the way, we're protecting frontline services, we're supporting frontline workers, we're doing our part for families in greatest need. And if I can share one thing today, one piece of information on what you can expect from our budget, I can say this. We are looking carefully at how we can help Ontario families, how we can help them make ends meet. We are actively looking at measures that will improve affordability for families because the economics are very straightforward. When people and families have more money to spend, when local businesses are able to invest in new jobs, the economy grows. And that means more revenue to invest in things that matter. Over the course of the past 7 months, our government has been hard at work reducing the taxes, the fees, the skyrocketing bills that have left so many families hurting, while reducing so many barriers to job creation left behind by the Liberals. We eliminated the cap and trade carbon tax, one clear, decisive move that reduced gas prices by 4.3 cents per litre for every driver in Ontario. We cut home heating costs and saved the average family $260 on their heating bill. We introduced the most progressive tax cut in Ontario's history. The low-income individuals in the family tax credit, better known, or you could call it LIFT for short, a tax credit that reduced the burden on 1.1 million people and ensured that the minimum wage earners pay no provincial income tax, zero, absolutely zero. That allows them to put a little more money in their pocket instead of the government's pocket. We introduced a historic labor and apprenticeship reforms, changes that will make it easier for young people to find good paying jobs. And we've worked with the federal government to lower the tax and burden on Ontario employers who make job creating capital investments. Because as I've always said, we are the first in line to help when our federal partners decide to support pro-job policies. But at the same time, we will always stand up for Ontario. We will always be there to fight for Ontario families, Ontario workers. To take the federal Liberal carbon tax, for example, my friends, Ontario doesn't need a carbon tax to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We have released a comprehensive environmental plan under our amazing Environment Minister, Rod Phillips. He's done an absolutely incredible job. A plan that will reach our targets without a carbon tax. And I mentioned that to the Prime Minister when I saw him a few weeks ago. We're leading the country. We're leading the country with emissions reductions. Why hurt our province? Because I can tell you, my friends, because I can tell you the carbon tax, it isn't about the environment. It's a job-killing cash grab, plain and simple. The carbon tax will drive up the cost of putting gas in your car, paying for your home heating bills, or putting food on your table. It affects everything in this room. This will hurt vulnerable seniors and families, and it will hurt Ontario's economy and our manufacturers. Because as of someone who's done business on both sides of the border, who's created hundreds of jobs, I can tell you that a carbon tax will be a total economic disaster, not only for our province, but for our entire country. And there are already economic warning signs on the horizon. There couldn't be a worse time to impose a massive job-killing tax on Ontario families and small businesses. A tax that is set to go higher with each passing year. I'm here today to ring the warning bell that the risk of a carbon tax recession is very, very real. That's why when I say I'm prepared to fight the federal carbon tax with every tool at my disposal, I mean it. Because you can be for a carbon tax, or you can be for manufacturing jobs. But you can't be for both. My friends, our government will always stand up focused on the things that matter, like helping young people have access to skills they need to build their career, like reducing the red tape and the regulations, making hydro more affordable, and putting in place a real plan that ensures Ontario manufacturers, including the auto sector, continue to grow and continue to thrive in our province. My friends, we are making Ontario open for business and open for jobs. We're making Ontario the best place in Canada, in North America, and the entire world to invest and create jobs. But I'm here today to tell you that we must do even more, because open for business must also mean open for everybody. Every one of our economic policies must be about job creation. Does it help the little guy, the auto worker in Oshawa, the college graduate in Peterborough, the new Canadian family that arrived here in Toronto, or the forestry worker in Kenora? Are we making it easier for these people to find jobs, to keep jobs, to pay their bills, and put food on the table? If our plan is not working for them, then our plan is not working at all. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but we are so fortunate. We are so fortunate to live here in Ontario. We have so much going for us. We have an abundance of natural resources. We sit at the crossroads of continental and global trade, and we have the best, the most talented, most educated. We have the hardest working people in the entire world right here in Ontario. Our challenges, not just as a government, but for every person in this room, is to do our part, to take advantage of all these strengths that we have here, to grow our economy, to create new opportunities, and ensure that these opportunities are shared by all. That's what a government for the people is all about. I thank you. God bless you. Thank you.